Hi there, Year 4. Today we're going to look at angles. This is going to be the start of our lessons on angles this week. So today we're going to recap what we already know about angles. There'll be some new learning as well, and some language and vocabulary that you need to remember. So have a look at the spelling of angles before we get going. You'll be writing the word angles, and I don't want to see any angels. So we've got A-N-G-L-E-S. So an angle is a measure of turn between two lines. We measure angles in degrees using a protractor. So you've got a protractor in your home learning pack. I want you to put it away for today because we're going to look at angles that we already know just to refresh our brain. If you're not sure about anything, you pause the video clip, you can rewind, you can listen to it again, or you can check with an adult to see how well you know about angles. Off we go. Angles are all around us. An angle is created when two straight lines meet. Look at the pictures below. Two of the pairs of pencils show angles. Can you work out which ones? If your answer was the pair on the left and the pair on the right, then you are correct. The pair in the middle does not show an angle because the lines do not touch. So here we go, we've got an angle here. You can see the pencils touch, the pencils touch, there we've got a turn. Here in the middle, these two pencils never meet, they run parallel to each other, there's never going to be an angle between them. The picture below shows a right angle. This is a special type of angle that is a quarter of a full turn. So here, there's my red pencil, and my yellow pencil is vertical. So we have a horizontal line and we have a vertical line, and in between there is a right angle. Squares and rectangles have right angles. How many right angles in a square? How many right angles in a rectangle? If you said 4, you'd be correct. We've got where the corners are, where those are called vertices or corners. There's some right angles in the house. You can see the right angles I found in my house. I've got right angles around my light switch. You can see the corners. I've got right angles on my windows, and I've also got right angles on the tiles on my floor. You can see there where the lines meet. In your Google Classroom for today's maths, you have some resources called right angle finders. We have used these before. I believe we used them in our home learning in Year 3, so you're going to do it again. You're going to use a right angle finder to go around your house and find some right angles. What could you use if you don't want to print these out? You could use a book or a piece of paper, because the corners, the vertices, where the lines meet are right angles. I want you to pause the video, go and have a look for some right angles around your home. Okay, so right angles can be in any orientation. The pens are still meeting at a point. The point is called a right angle. So here you go, I've got some pictures here of some pens that I've put together to make right angles. And they don't all look like that one, because as you can see they are in different orientations. So they might be the corner of a diamond type shape. They might be the roof of a house. They could be the top of a window or the bottom of a book. So you're going to do an activity in your yellow books. You're going to find angles in your name. I want you to write your full name out in capital letters, like the example opposite. This is Lola and James. They've had a go with their name. They've highlighted all of the right angles, and you can see they've drawn squares in their right angles, and that's really clear because if you draw a right angle with a little box like that, you can see that it's a right angle because it makes a little square and joins the right angles together. I want you to look at which capital letter has the most right angles. It would be good to repeat the activity with another name, your friend or a sibling, or your mum or your dad. Does their name have more or fewer right angles than yours? If I show you the next slide, you'll see mine. Just to recap the activity, you're going to draw your name on paper and you're going to find the angles within your name. So there's a few things to remember. Squared paper will help you to be neat. I've kept the curvy letters. As you can see, there are no lines that meet. So there will be no angles in them. But if you keep them curvy, you can see that there are no lines that meet. And you're going to mark right angles on your name like this. Okay, so we've got, again, right angles in different orientations. So some are that way, some are that way, some are that way, and some are that way. And we mark the right angles to show that they are true right angles. We use a little box shape. So pause the video and have a go at that activity. So we're going to move our learning on now. We're going to look at whether or not an angle is a right angle. So just to recap, an angle is a measurement of turn, and they can be found where two lines meet. So a right angle is in the corner, or vertices, or vertex, of a rectangle or square. So here we can see a right angle. We're going to look at some angles, and we're going to decide whether they are right angles, whether they are bigger than a right angle, or whether they are smaller than a right angle. So don't worry about this instruction here, just listen to the clip. So here we have two pens that meet. Is that a right angle? Yes, it is. Let's move me out of the way. Is this a right angle? And is this a right angle? No, these two are not right angles. We'll come on to what they're called in a minute, but we can definitely say that this is a right angle, but these two are not. Can you see why they are not? Have a think about why they are not right angles. Okay, so this one's quite pointy, and this one, I always think of it, if an angle is a turn, I need to imagine almost opening up like a book. Okay, so those are the edges of my book. This has opened past the point of 90 degrees. 90 degrees would be up here, so that's a right angle. We'll come on to degrees. So it's gone past a right angle, so it's bigger than a right angle. So here we've got those same pictures again. We know already this is a right angle, and as I gave you a clue on the last slide, a right angle is 90 degrees. So the right angle in there is 90 degrees. I keep getting in the way here, don't I? Here we go. So for this one has a name. We said it was smaller than a right angle. It's called an acute angle. It is less than 90 degrees. So it's very pointy. So it is an acute angle. And this one here, you can probably guess what it might be called. It's greater than a right angle. It is more than 90 degrees. It is called an obtuse angle. If you pause the video clip and make a note or write down, right angles are 90 degrees, acute angles are less than 90 degrees, obtuse angles are more than 90 degrees. Okay, so second activity that we're going to do for our maths today is to complete this worksheet. It is in your Google Classroom. You can follow the instructions and just put whether it's smaller or bigger. I've given you a clue. But we have just learnt the words acute and obtuse. So, if an angle is smaller than a right angle, it is acute. If an angle is bigger than a right angle, it is obtuse. So what would be a really super Year 4 way of doing this would be, instead of writing smaller or bigger than a right angle, you give it its proper maths name. So for number 1, let's look. It's smaller than a right angle. It's pointy. It's acute. For number 2, do you remember I said it's like a book opening? This book, the pages have opened out nice and wide, so it's bigger than a right angle. It's going to be obtuse. So for today, I want you to have a go at these ones on your sheet. If you print off the sheet, you can stick it in your book when you've completed it, or in your books you can neatly write number 3 and the answer. Use your yellow books for that. I'm going to pause the video, do the activity, and I will show you the answers at the end of the clip. Okay, so easy to right angle. The answers to your sheet, you can self-mark your work. We've got the first one I gave you, acute. I always think of it as sharp. And obtuse. This one, let's think about the fact that it's open. It's more open. If it's open, we can use obtuse. That'll remind us O for obtuse, O for open. So that one is greater than a right angle, and this one is smaller than a right angle. So here are the answers to the rest. Remember, some of them would have been right angles. So here we go. Number 3, a right angle. Number 4, an acute angle. Again, sharp and pointy. Number 5, still an acute angle. So this has opened like a turn. Okay? And it's still pointy. The obtuse angle here. Okay. Now we may have to move our sheet around so we can get a good look at it, but that's okay. This one is an obtuse angle. This one has opened out further. This one is a right angle, and this one is an acute angle. It is sharp and pointy. Okay? Hope you did okay with that. Make sure that you understand an obtuse angle is a larger or greater than 90 degrees. We also need to know that an acute angle here, like this one, is smaller than or less than 90 degrees.